everyone, it's Sharona from Pay Your Weights, and today I'm going to be reviewing Spell, which is now available on VOD. This film stars Loretta Devine, Omari Hardwick, and is directed by Mark Tonere, who's responsible for directing films such as The House at the End of the Streets. And this film centers around Omari's character, Marquise, who is a man who is involved in a plane crash and awakens in the attics of a traditional hoodoo practitioner. He desperately tries to break free from her dark magic and save his family from a sinister ritual before the rise of the blood moon. So, for those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, hello, so glad you came, I hope you stay. I tell you what I liked about this film, what I didn't like about this film, and is it worth your time or not paying to watch on VOD. So going into what I enjoyed about Spell. First and foremost, y'all know that I love Loretta Devine with all my heart and soul, and I really enjoyed her character who just really... she was so unsettling to me. She just really disrupted my spirit. The things that she was doing, I was just like, Loretta, not you, boo. Not you. But her character is Eloise. And Eloise, honey, she a hot mess, all right? And I really like that Loretta fully committed to this character. And it's not in a campy over the top way. It's kind of just like, hey, Eloise is who she is, but she's doing some messed up stuff throughout the course of this film. And really, I think the best way to explain Spell is like, if you've seen Misery and you've seen Skeleton Key, then you kind of understand what is going to happen in Spell. And so I do like that they center this film around hoodoo, which is something that I personally hadn't heard of. And it's something that will make you want to kind of research and do your own fact checking, because we also have to make sure that we're displaying, things like hoodoo in a positive way or in a factual way. But I did like that they tried to incorporate something that a lot of people might not have heard of. But also too, I like the interaction between Omari's character Marquise and Eloise throughout the course of the film when they do get the chance to interact with each other. And it's kind of just one of those like, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm uneasy as to why we're still trying to be pleasant with one another while you're technically being held captive, but we don't know for sure is he being held captive at the same time. But I think what this film actually does a great job of is building that intensity. It has moments where you're unsettled. Like, I literally had to look away from the camera because what was transpiring on screen was just way too much for me to be able to endure. I definitely had to pause a couple of times. There's something involved with like a rusty object, that bothered me. I won't be able to eat soup the same way anymore. I won't be able to, if I don't know what is in food, I'm gonna have to question a couple of things after watching this film. But I do think that they do a very great job of kind of just making you feel like, is he gonna survive this? Like, is she crazy? Like, what is her deal? But even though I have things that I do enjoy, also too with Omari's character, I will have to say I do enjoy that Omari has done a really good job of trying to play different characters from the previous one that he's played, with him being in films such as, Sorry to Bother You, and now this one, really trying to broaden that gap between his role as James Sir Patrick on Ghost to where we have him now as Marquise on Spell. I do appreciate the different range of characters that he's decided to take roles to portray since Power. And he does have a tough job because he really does have to do a lot of heavy lifting because his character, because he is being held captive, because for many of the scenes that he is by himself, he has a lot that he really has to act alone without being able to act off of another character, which is pretty hard to do. So I do want to give him props, for this role, even though there are some moments where I'm just like, you still looking like him, but I know I got to get that out of the back of my mind. Like, this is not Ghost, but I was just like, for a moment there, I saw him just a little bit, but that's probably just me just not wanting to let go of his character. But I did think that he did a good job with the material that was given for him, and the same as Loretta. Now, where I really get into the issues with Spell really comes back down to, you guessed it, the writing, which is what I feel like I've been seeing on repeat for like all of these different films that have been coming out the past few months. Is really the writing is what I have an issue with when it comes to Spell. There is if you're introducing something like hoodoo, which is something that a lot of people probably won't know about while they're watching this film, I think it's fair to try to explain some things. There's when we kind of get to the background of who Eloise is, where she comes from, you know, what is her main purpose of holding Marquise captive. Then I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, I'm interested in this. Let's see where we can go with this. And then I was just like, oh, we're at the end of the movie. Like, you never told us. I still don't know what the heck is going on. Oh, okay. All right. That's just really unfortunate. And, you know, you want to learn more about her character because you're trying to figure out, why is this lady so crazy? What is going on with her? What are they trying to do? And they try to explain it with just, you know, there's some things that we see and you really will have to be paying like very, very close attention to catch on to some things. But I felt like that's lazy. If you have this movie where it's not a lot of characters, you had the time to explore Eloise's character, to explore what motivates her to do the things that she is doing, and they didn't do that. And then really the third act of the film, like I feel like I'm saying like the exact same review for another movie that I'm reviewing, but it was rushed. I was watching that, so I was like, okay, this feel like this is moving really fast and I still don't have any answers and I don't know why they're moving as fast as they're moving. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I felt that there was a lot more that they could have fleshed out as far as the plot, as far as the characters, as far as the significance surrounding Marquise's character. I was just like, yeah, you had the time. I don't know why we didn't just take the time to flesh things out. But for me, that's why I was still so torn about Spell. I do think that Spell was a lot more enjoyable than what I thought the film was going to be. I did enjoy, you know, watching this mixture of Misery and Skeleton Key with Black actors. I think that added to the enjoyment of this film for me. But I just felt let down because everything is so rushed. There were a lot of things left on the table that weren't explained. And even though the film is very intense at times, it's unsettling to watch. I had to turn away multiple times. I don't know. I still was left wanting a lot more. So I think for me, what I would tell guys, I wouldn't be upset if I spent money on this film. Like, I would be like, you know what, this exceeded my expectations of what I thought that I was going to get when going into it. But for those of you who are like truly invested in the film, you know, especially if you watched Misery, if you watch films that remind you of what Spell is, then you're probably going to be let down a little bit. But those are basically my thoughts on Spell. As always, my name is Sharana from Pay Your Weights. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until I see you again, bye.